Hello everybody, welcome to my series of video tutorials about Maltego Chlorine Community Edition. This is Silent Null speaking, and within this video tutorial I'm going to show you how to create your own Python local Maltego transform. So in this case, the business case of this business tutorial is try to find it out which is the name of the organization that is related to an autonomous system. Just for example, if I drag and drop an autonomous system and for example I type this autonomous system number, I would like to know the name of the organization that is related to this autonomous system. um, there is a transfer call to company owner that comes by default with Maltego, but in this case I have no results from this transform. So what I did was to create my own transform just to find out the name of this organization name, and in this case I made a transform call to org name, and if I click my own transform I have this new entity type that I've created, and here I have the name of the organization related to this autonomous system, and if I double click this icon I can get more info from the properties tab, in this case the country code AA and the country name United Arab Emirates. So this is a very simple business case, but from my side I think it's very useful just for you, just to show you how I create this transform by using Python, and also with the Maltego transform, that Python file that is necessary to create your own local transform. So let's start with all this stuff. I'm going to clean the graph, and within this video tutorial there are three main steps that we must follow. The first step would be to create a new entity type called organization. As you can see here, I'm going to delete from this menu, and also I'm going to manage entities, organization, click delete. Here we go. So the first step, as I mentioned before, is to create an entity type called organization with three main attributes. The first one is the organization name, the second one is the country code, and the third one is the country name. Once we have made this first step, we should go through Python code just to try to create the transform by using, in this case I'm going to use Python to create my own local transform. And the first step will be to create a reference within Maltego to the local transform. So let's start by the first step. I'm going to create a new entity type. In this case will be organization. So let's click on manage tab, and here new entity type, please select new entity type advanced because we have more functionality. We have 6 main steps. The first one will be the display name of the entity. In my case will be organization, short description, the organization that is related to an ES. I'm going to change this. Here we go. This is a very important property, and we will use this value when we were coding the local transform. For the icon, select default tab. I'm going to select, for example, this one. You could choose another one if you want. Within this second step, the main property display name will be organization. This um, this field contains the organization name related to an AS, description, the properties that organization, the data type is to be a string, and I'm going to change genes, new organization. Just when you drag and drop an AS icon into your graph, this will be the default value that is shown within its label. I'm going to add to the category, in this case infrastructure, just to group this entity within this menu palette. And in the fourth step, as I mentioned before, we already have an organization attribute, and I'm going to create two more properties. If I click on add property level, I'm going to type here property or country code, and display name country code, and the type is string. This is the name that internally we are going to use within code. Just to remember, I'm going to add the third one, would be property that or that country name, display name country name, and the type string. So here we go, we have the three properties within this new entity type. I'm going to leave all these values by default, and again I'm going to leave all by default. Click finish, and as you can see here under infrastructure palette, you can see the new entity type that is used within our transform. So we've done the first step. I'm going to go through the second one. So in this case, in order to code this local transform, I'm going to use Python. In this case, I'm using PyCharm. There is a free edition, also a paid edition, but for me it's very nice ID. So this is the name of my project. Within my project, I have to load Maltego transform.py Python, and this is the main file where all the functions from Maltego are defined. So you have to include this within your own project. This will be the file name that will contain the code of the new local transform, and also within this transform I'm going to use an XML that I have downloaded from internet, where I have all the info there. I have the numbers of the autonomous systems, the name and the code of the countries that are related to the organization of the autonomous systems or whatever. You could use a web service just to look up for this information. You could use a database or whatever. In my case, I'm going to use an XML that I have stored in my computer. And in order to parse the XML file, I'm going to use a package called LXML. It's very useful just to try to find and know the XML within the whole XML file. It's very useful just to parse, to look up, and whatever. So let's start by coding the new transform. So the first step, I'm going to import the libraries from Maltego transform. I'm going to import models, and also from LXML import. I'm going to import E3. I'm going to use E3 alias. Okay, so I have all my libraries, and I'm going to get the ES name from Maltego graph. I'm going to store this value within a variable called ASN, and in order to get this value, I'm going to use sys rb1. This will be the content of the level of the AS icon within Maltego. I'm going to get a reference from Maltego transform. I'm going to toggle transform. So within the m variable, I'm going to store a reference to Maltego transform, and let's try to include some exception handle code. It's very simple, just for this code, but yeah, I think it's very useful. Exception SE, and here, if there is an exception, I'm going to show you the content of it. So I'm going to use add UU message, and in this case I'm going to convert to a string the exception. Okay, always the last step within your own local transform will be return the XML to the back to Maltego. So in order to do that, you have to reference return object. So let's start by coding this local transform. So the first step will be I'm going to read the XML file, and in order to do that, I'm going to create a new variable called tree. I'm going to use an alias e3 parse. Oops, sorry, et parse, and here I'm going to include the path where is located my XML file. In this case is temp results.xml. So in this case, within the tree variable, I'm going to read this whole file, and I'm going to load into memory. After that, I'm going to get a reference to the root object within the tree get root, because I'm going to use later on. And here I'm going to use specify xpath syntax in order to locate the ASM. So in a variable, I'm going to type the following syntax from xpath command. So in this case, I'm going to find all the ASN nodes that have that each value matches the ASN that we have tied within Maltego. So in order to do that, I'm going to include this function text equal ASN value. Here we go. So within this XPath syntax, I'm going to find all ASN values whose text value contains the autonomous system number that I'm looking from Maltego. Just to make you an idea of the content of the XML, let's see a part. In this case, this will be the root node, ASN results, and I'm going to find out, you can see here different autonomous system numbers. Imagine that I'm looking these autonomous system numbers, so the program has to search for this ASM, and here is the content. I have the reference to the ASN node element within this XML file. So I have this syntax, and let's get the organization node within XML file. So in order to get that value, I'm going to create a new variable, and I'm going to use root xpath, and here I'm going to include target, and I have to specify two more syntax within XPath. I'm going to explain all of them. So let's save it. Okay, so beginning from the root node, by using an XPath expression, I have to search for this ISN. So in this case, imagine I want to search for this, so I have located this ASN node, and I want to get this node from here. So in order to get this value, I have to reference to go one step up and then go to organization name, and that's what I have typed it in. And this value 0 is because the XPath function return a list of values, not only one value but also a list of values. So in this case, I'm going to get the first element of the list, that will be this organization name. Alright, so after I get the value, let's sorry let's create the entity type on the graph. So store the entity within a variable called ent, and I select m, add entity, and here we have several parameters. The first one would be the entity type that we have created within Maltego. So in order to know that, let's click on manage entities. I go to select organization, click on the configuration, and this is the value that I have to type within that function, just to say, hey, you have to create this type of entity. Silent null that organization. So this is the first parameter. The second parameter will be the main property, the content of the organization, that will be the organization name. So in this case will be our target that text. So I have all this record within an entity type, and what I am looking for is this value, and I get this value by using the test attribute for our target. Okay, but we need also the country code and country name. So get the country code and country, again road XPath, it will be target, and in this case I'm going to type these symbols, and again I'm going to select the first one. So in this case I'm using XPath syntax. In this case I would be in here ascend, so I have to go to AS, go to summary, go to country, so I have to go 3 steps up. So that's why I have typed all the syntax here. Here, and add additional fields, and here I'm going to include the values for the country code and country name that are additional files. So I use, this is my entity on the graph, and I add 2 additional fields. So the first parameter in this case will be the content of this property, property that, or that country code. The second parameter will be the display name of this property. The third one always will be true, and the fourth will be the value. So have country get. So in this case, because I have once I have located the country node, I want to get this attribute, country code, the content of the country code attribute. So in order to get that information, I have to use the get function from the country node, and here I type the name of the attribute, country code. I'm going to copy and add the second. The second one was the name of the country, the name of the country, and the country name. Save it, and I think that's all. In Before running this local transform on Maltego, I want to debug within the PyCharm environment. So in order to do that, I have included already this ASN number 8966 just to try to test this. So here we go. As I mentioned before, the output of this code is an XML with Maltego message, transaction, entity types is the entity type that we have defined. This is the organization name and country code, and and the country name. So we have done the second step, and from now we have to start with the third step, that is reference this code in Python from Maltego. So in order to do that, I'm going to click on Manage tab, click off Local Transform, and we have two main steps. The first step would be display name of the transform. So in this case, I'm going to type your name 2, and here I'm going to try get the organization name related to NAS. This is forever Cylon node, and this here I'm going to select autonomous system because this is the type of entity that I'm going to use within my code in Python. Let's click on next, and here we have to set all these three fields. The first will be the path to, in my case, because I have made my script in Python, I have to specify the path to my Python interpreter. Within my laptop, here you have my path. So I'm going to copy and paste. On the second field, you have to specify the name of the Python file that you have code. So in my case, will be to or name to that Python. To or name to that Python. And here you have to select the folder where your project is created. Here, as you can see here, my transform project is located in my home. PyCharm project, my first transform. So this is the path that is pointing to my project. When I have typed all three fields, I click finish, and there is no error, so I guess everything is alright. So let me check it out. If I click on transform manage and I order by S, here you have my my new local transform. So let's try it and run it. I'm going to change the default value. Imagine that I am analyzing this autonomous system. I want to know the company name and where it's located. So um, if I run the default transform within Maltego, you can see that it's 0 entities. And if I click on the new local transform to org name 2, here we go. You have that this autonomous internet autonomous system is related to Emirates Telecommunication Corporation, Etilasat, yes. And if I double click on this node, I can see here in the property tabs that the country code and the country name, United Arab Emirates. So that's all from my side. I hope you have enjoyed my new video tutorial. If you find interesting this video tutorial, please subscribe to my channel on YouTube, and you want to send me a comment, please feel free to draw me a few lines. Thank you very much for watching my videos, and we will see you on next video tutorials. Thank you for your attention. Bye bye.